Greetings from LA, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, right now, where I am, it is Monday, September 16th, 2024. It's in the early afternoon hours where I am right now, and it's my understanding that maybe a couple hours ago or so, perhaps, the Criterion Collection has made its announcement with respect to the releases that it plans to make, the Criterion Collection plans to make in December 2024, so a few months from now. And all that information is going to be available on the Criterion Collection website. So you can, of course, go to the Criterion Collection website directly and check out the titles themselves, as well as planned cover art and planned, say, technical specifications and supplemental information and write-ups on the films as well as write-ups and information about other titles in the Criterion Collection, including but not limited to the planned December 2024 releases. But if it's okay with you, my dear friends, like we have done over the course of many months, many years and many months of this YouTube channel, I'd like to continue on with our initial impressions and thoughts and comments. And so if it's okay with you, I'd like to share with you my initial impressions and thoughts and comments with respect to the planned releases from the Criterion Collection for December 2024. And before I continue, I should again point out, like I always do, these are my initial impressions, and of course when the title or when the item becomes available, and so maybe I'll purchase it directly in a store nearby, or I might order it online and so it gets delivered. But in any event, when the item arrives, I will have maybe my thoughts and comments in exploration of such item. But before that time, of course, let us just consider our initial impressions. And of course, these are initial impressions. They might change. My thoughts and comments might be similar to yours, might be different to yours, but that's okay in either respect, because things happen and things change, and reactions and impressions, I think, are very important. So here are my initial impressions as of now, and of course, please feel free to share with me how you feel and your thoughts in the comment section below at any time. I'd be very much curious to hear what it is you have to say. But with that, my dear friends, let us turn to the first title that's planned for December 2024. And this is scheduled for release December 3rd, 2024. And this is for Spine number 501. It is a title which actually already currently exists in the Criterion Collection physical media catalog at Spine number 501 on a Blu-ray release. But this time, on this occasion, Criterion Collection appears to be planning to release a 4K plus Blu-ray 2-disc release of this work, which is described as being from the year 1984. And the name of the filmmaker is Wim Wenders. And the name of the film is Paris, Texas. And I should point out that according to the website right now at Criterion, it's describing a new 4K digital restoration supervised and approved by director Wim Wenders, presented in the aspect ratio of 1.66 to 1 with 5.1 DTS HD master audio soundtrack and other aspects of the technical specifications and supplements, which again, information can be found on the website itself of Criterion. So Paris, Texas makes its I guess reemergence, I should say, in the Criterion Collection. It's always been, well, it's been there since Spine number 501. And it continues to be there as well. But this time we have the occasion this year, in a few months from now, what is purporting to be a new restoration. Now, I don't know what the new restoration has in store. I'm going to watch it when it arrives, like the rest of us. But so I'll be curious to see how I respond to that as I watch this new restoration aspect of this film. But I have seen this work a number of times, quite a lot, in fact, and I was unable to. Unfortunately, I was unable to see this in the movie theater. But I did see this many years ago when I was fairly young when I first saw it, and then quite frequently over the years since, and including now. And I think I've spoken a little bit about this film already, and how moving a portrait it is. It has this sense of a slice of Americana type of aspect to its story and its environment and its look and aesthetic on the one hand, which I think is one of the aspects of the film Paris, Texas that's very famous. And it is also a film about loss, and that loss could be related to a sense of maybe psychological guilt or psychological based guilt. In other words, the loss that I'm referring to, and I'm trying to be as vague as possible here, but the loss that I'm referring to that is intertwined within the stories of this magnificent work, Paris, Texas, could be said to be maybe externally imposed or perhaps internally induced. And that I think forms a lot of the journey, kind of roads of recovery that I think are, again, part of the film journeys of the characters that we meet in this really magnificent, intimate series of character portraits that are intertwined in this quite poignant way of sort of recovery of maybe recovery from loss and sort of recovery from being adrift emotionally and also geographically as well when we consider some of the backstory of the characters that we meet here in Paris, Texas. So there is a lot to consider. There is a lot to chew on in a manner of speaking. I think it is one of the reasons why this film, Paris, Texas, I think has aged so gracefully and so poignantly over the years. And I think it's lost none of its punch and it's lost none of its power. There are scenes here that I think have become so embedded in the sense of sort of identification with cinema itself. I mean, some of the ways in which characters interact in this film, the way communication is had. There's a very famous scene involving mirrors and discussions and interactions between two characters with mirrors as being a kind of a visual motif, as well as a metaphor for the emotional connect or disconnect, as the case may be, as well as I say, the sort of the intertwining sort of roads of recovery, which I think is a really important phrase when describing Paris, Texas, because the idea of roads, road trip, road journeys, roads of recovery, this is, I think, what makes Paris, Texas a road movie. It's a road trip, but it's also a way towards some potential or possible recovery or redemption on the part of the characters that we meet along the way. And those characters, I must say, too, which is another brilliant aspect of the film Paris, Texas. I mean, the characters are portrayed with these great, sublime, and masterful performances. Um, uh, Dean Stockwell and Tasha Kinski and Harry Dean Stanton, among others, in a kind of tour de force, or not kind of, a definitive tour de force of performances in all respects. And there's also a sense of mystery, and there's also a sense in which information is withheld and revealed in this sublime manner of giving us almost a sort of cinematic therapeutic aspect to the revelation of information, which I think is also very apropos. I mean, this is a sublime poetic film that reveals just enough to let us really involve ourselves into the world of these characters, again, with the sense of the Americana aspect. I think is also played with and engaged with in a very skillful way. There's a lot of Wim Wenders focus of late, especially in the latter half of 2024, which is, I think, very welcome. We've had a number of Wim Wenders titles released since the summer, and now we have this re-release of a very famous film, one of the most famous films by Wim Wenders in a very illustrious career, this being Paris, Texas. So we'll still see what the new 4K digital restoration has in store for us, so I look forward to that as well. But with that comment as well, in parallel, it'll be great to re-watch this film for the upteenth time for me. I'm looking forward to that immensely. So in any event, my dear friends, this is coming our way December 3rd, 2024. And again, this is at spine number 501 of the film, which is Paris, Texas. Next, scheduled for release on December 10th, 2024. And this is for spine number 1243. It looks like we're getting either a Blu-ray disc release or a 4K plus Blu-ray disc release. And it's purported to be based on what is described as a new 4K digital master. Supervised and approved by the director of photography. And this is a film which is described as being from the year 2007. And the names of the directors are Joel Cohen and Ethan Cohen. And the name of the work is No Country for Old Men. I was very fortunate to have been able to see this in the theater during its wide release in theaters, initial release back in, I guess it was circa 2007 now. And it was, by that time, I was already a very big fan and admirer of the Coen brothers. And I think it was around this time, too, I might have mentioned, I was actually shopping in a supermarket in New York when I was living in New York at the time, or early on in my life. And actually, I saw, as I was at the register purchasing my items, I actually saw Ethan Cohen, the register next to me, I think, or nearby. So at the supermarket. So perhaps this was Ethan Cohen around the time he was making or releasing No Country for Old Men. I don't know. I have to reassess when this actually occurred, but it could have been. But in any event, I did see Ethan Cohen. I didn't say hi or anything like that, but I did see him in the supermarket. But in any event, yes, he is one of the named directors, and his collaboration with Joel Cohen is, of course, Joel and Ethan Coen works are very famous, and there are a lot of fans of the Coen brothers' works. There are also a number of films by the Coen brothers in the Criterion Collection physical media catalog, which is also very nice. And for instance, we saw, I think earlier in the year, a re-release of the Coen brothers' work Blood Simple, which is really fantastic. But now we have one of the 2000s films, No Country for Old Men. Now, as I mentioned, I did see this in the theater, and it was like a fright fest. This is such an intense film. It is so intense, palm sweat inducing, uh, uh, finger curling inducing type of intensity. It's one of those films where you feel on edge and you don't realize just how tense your body is until you sort of catch yourself. It's that type of quick burst of intensity. It just creeps up on you, then grabs you, and there are reasons for that. It's done so effectively in this thriller film, No Country for Old Men. I mean, we have, I think, a very compelling plot driven by the really the performances, in particular Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem and Tommy Lee Jones. And then we have also the way in which the stories seem to converge, diverge, and the mystery and suspense as to whether or not they will converge again. And so that is propelling the plot forward, or the strings of plot forward, in a manner that is ever so absorbing. And then also the way in which this film, I think, very famously portrays, say, both the visual aspect and dynamic. I mean, we mentioned earlier a film that is being released in December, Paris, or re-released, Paris, Texas, how that has a sense of slice of Americana aspect of the visual environment, say, tableau of that film aesthetic. Well, here we have maybe a similar yet different dynamic of the sort of slice of life Americana that's also being presented here, and No Country for Old Men, and done in this way, in a very oftentimes quite shocking, abrupt, and also incredibly suspenseful suspense thriller film. I shall, in going hand in hand with the visuals, there's also the soundscape. I mean, this film and its soundscape and the way it uses large bursts of voluminous sound on the one hand, high bursts of high volume sound on the one hand, and then drips with silence on the other, and that intercutting and the soundscape context, I think, is so uh, unnerving and so skillfully putting the audience off balance. It's just registering the suspense levels to the nth degree. It is a real. It was a real pleasure and delight to be able to have seen this in the theater. I mean, it was an incredibly tense experience, and it was a exhilarating rush that also had moments of, I think, philosophical contemplation that may or may not lead to satisfactory resolutions in terms of a kind of closure of character arcs and dynamics. I mean, you're going to have to watch the film in order to make and judge for yourselves how that figures into your own readings of the character arcs. But perhaps too, that ambiguity. If one reads into that, into the film, such ambiguity, that also I think serves the purpose of the film in terms of a gray moral landscape, in terms of the psychological sort of moral compass, while also giving us, sort of the slice of life in a vicious manner that is also very much Coen brothers' tour de force in terms of the precision and the way in which characters move in space, the detail of the foreground and background, while never letting up in terms of the focus of the thriller aspect of this film, as well as the way in which the characters, as I say, converge and diverge, and perhaps converge again, or maybe not, as the case may be. So there is so much here. And I'm very glad that the Criterion Collection, in their capacity, seems to be continuing on with their endeavors to release Coen Brothers films in the Criterion Collection physical media catalog. So this is wonderful news. I mean, I don't. I will admit up front that I don't have a good grasp as to the physical media release history of No Country for Old Men, so I don't. I won't be able to do any comparative analysis, but it'll be great to be able to watch this film again. Um, uh, this is described as being a new 4K digital master, supervised and approved by director of photography Roger Deakins. So it'll be interesting to see how the new digital master fares in terms of one's experience of watching the film. I mean, I do admit that there have been some interesting little quirky details in terms of how new digital restorations have fared in terms of Criterion releases of. I bring up Barton Fink as an example in terms of how. In terms of the actual versions that we are getting here, so I don't know if that will be something to consider when we get to No Country for Old Men, but we'll keep that in mind. Maybe it's something to consider, maybe not, but we'll keep that in mind when we actually watch the film in the Criterion release itself. I should note that there are some supplements that are marked as new, such as a discussion with the filmmakers and Megan Abbott, as well as a new conversation with Roger Deakins, excuse me. So, as well as other supplements here. So this is very exciting news, incredibly exciting news. This is one of the most heralded and most critically acclaimed of the Coen brothers, quite critically acclaimed body of work. So it's a wonderful opportunity to catch up with this film again, or perhaps for those who haven't seen this film, it'll be your opportunity to watch this for the first time. And it's a nail biter. This is the film which is No Country for Old Men. Next, scheduled for release on December 10th, 2024, and this is for a film at spine number 140. So this is a title which actually already at the moment currently exists in the Criterion Collection physical media catalog on, for instance, a Blu-ray. But now we will be getting in December what is purported to be a new 4K digital restoration of this film. And this is a work which is described as being from the year 1963. And the name of the filmmaker is Federico Fellini, and the name of the work is Otto e Mezzo, or 8.5. This is really interesting. I was actually just maybe last night, before I even knew what the Criterion planned releases for December were. Last night I was just in my room, just relaxing, and I was just thinking, just very randomly, just popped into my head, oh, wouldn't it be nice if there would be a re-release of the film 8.5 by Federico Fellini, by the Criterion Collection. It just popped into my head last night, and I thought nothing of it until I saw again today the Criterion Collection planned releases for December, and lo and behold, wouldn't you know, what do I see on the page here but Federico Fellini's 8.5 being released by Criterion Collection. So is this some kind of psychic power I have, perhaps? Maybe, but probably not, because I tend to be very bad when it comes to my my ability to see into the future. And it could be just a wild coincidence, which I think it is. But all kidding aside, I must say that 8.5 is a film that I think I've mentioned it on this channel before, but let me just say again very briefly that I've had quite a wild journey with this film in my life. And to break it down succinctly, or try to, when I first saw it as a teenager, I hated the film. I hated the film. I had no idea what was going on. I just felt like I was just in this rush of boredom. And then over the years, as I gradually got older and I was just, as I said, just getting older, and the years passed and life experiences passed, I would always come back to this film. And every time I came back to this film, something about it it felt something was chipping away. I felt like there was something was being revealed to me upon each subsequent viewing of it. And so that every time I watched it again and again and again, something new would be revealed to me that would strike me. And so all those revelations being collected over many years of many, many times watching this film, I've come to really love and admire this work. It is one of my favorite films by Federico Fellini. I mean, it's a work that I think is, I wouldn't say that I identify 100% with the main character of the film, but that's not the reason why I am attached to the film so much. I find it to be an sort of on the one hand, it's a real unflinching, and it's quite a direct, ultimate self-expression. One can say of Federico Fellini himself, and it's so direct, and it's such almost a purely distilled self-expression that everything seems to be revealed, warts and all. The weaknesses of say human character, as it were, or the way the foibles, or the way that maybe human interactions might slip up, or maybe there might be some faux pas, or there might be some maltreatment or ill treatment of others, or maybe the opposite is true. Maybe we see how relationships tend to maybe flower, or perhaps trying to get past the noise and trying to get at some source of the genuine nature of what makes for connections between one person and another, in the context of this madcap, almost frenzied-like environment of our main character here, portrayed with such wit and a type of winking to the eye, a devilish charm by Marcello Mastroianni. So there is so much, I think, encompassed here, which is, again, showing us such a direct, almost too direct in its portrait of a type of personal journey that is also giving us a sense of the creative experience, the filmmaking experience, creative, the inability to create, the frustrations that are surrounded by that, sort of the collision course between art and commerce, and also the way in which many relationships seem to be coming to a sort of almost a collision course in the context of the life of our main character, who is the character of Guido, as well as many other, I think, facets of this film, which I think, again, strike me in terms of the visual and sonic or visual and audio feast for the senses. The way in which music is entwined, the way that dialogue seems to be sparkling. Now, I don't speak Italian, at all, and I'm not at all fluent. But I mean, there are some words here and they're meant to be sort of onomatopoeia type of words here. But some of the dialogue here, in particular from the character portrayed by Sandra Milo, it's Segup and Gak and things like that. They've always stuck with me. So I always think of this film, and immediately I'll think Segup. And Also the way in which Marcello Mastroianni is walking down one of the hotel hallways, and he's just whistling, and he's just um, like dancing by twisting his ankle a little bit as he's walking. So it's just little beats like that, and then of course the very famous or infamous way in which dreams and reality, dream sequences sort of engage with, or perhaps intrude or infest, or maybe inform the psychological state of play of our main character here. And so we get a lot of really wonderfully, beautifully over the top imagery, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and it's done oftentimes in one take. You'll see characters that just pop in and out and pop in and out, and they'll talk and they'll go leave and they'll come back and they'll go around the camera, and it's just the camera will move as well, and you'll get, and as we're getting all this visual assault of the senses, you also hear all the sonic ways, people talking at once, and it's all recorded on the soundtrack. So it's this almost this this effort to keep up, but my goodness, what a fun endeavor it is to watch this. And this type of fun engagement is something that I came to realize as I was watching this film over the years, and have come to really admire that audacious way in which characters and sound are really intruding upon, or perhaps informing the landscape that we're watching. It's really brilliant, and there have been many people, many critics, and many historians who've said that and made that claim so convincingly, much more than I have. But my point is that it's one of the reasons why I admire this film incredibly, and there are also, in that almost circus-like atmosphere of Eight and a Half, there are also the moments of tenderness, which I find, I mean, the more I watch this film, the more moved I am by those moments of tenderness. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail for those who've not yet seen this great film, Eight and a Half, but I will say, suffice to say that there are ways in which characters try to connect with others. Now, sometimes those connections might fail. They might not succeed. Maybe there's a broken connection. I mean, that happens to anyone in life. That's happened to me, and I tried to connect with someone, or maybe someone tries to connect with me, and maybe the connection breaks or fails for whatever reason. Maybe just not on the same wavelength, or maybe it just wasn't meant to be, or it wasn't in the cards. But there's that sense of regret, or that little pinch or twinge of disappointment, and you feel that in the way in which certain expressions occur in the characters that we see in Eight and a Half. And I find that to be so heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time, depending on the situation. Again, you have to watch the film for those details. But then there are also moments where the opposite is true in this film Eight and a Half, where characters do connect in this way that leads to the possibility of something. It might not be a perfect solution. It might be, in fact, so imperfect so as to be non-sustainable. But at least there's the possibility. And so I think Eight and a Half does inform us of that possibility. Again, the world is imperfect in Eight and a Half, and I think it acknowledges itself, and Fellini and others acknowledge the imperfections of the world in Eight and a Half. But it is also a film that strives for a sense of almost the pureness of the endeavor to try to attain something that is tender. Now, that can be in the context of relationships in the so-called present day aspect of Eight and a Half, but it also might have some keys, or some the unlocking of those secrets might have something to do with the past, and how memory is also intertwined in this sort of dream landscape. So we're not dealing just with dreams and fantasy, but we're also dealing with the possibility of how our memories and things that we cherished in childhood, whether they can still be available to us, or maybe they are just that memories that are, again, forever lost to time. in which case, then in the hands of Fellini, perhaps those memories that are lost in time are just like the fantasies that are themselves maybe filled with meaning or maybe filled with desire, but at the end of the day, they are without form, or they are ephemeral, that they will disappear like air or dust. And whether you consider that to be a, uh, a a cynical approach on the way in which people are trying to, or Guido, the Marcello Mastroianni character, is trying to maneuver himself through the ever-changing landscape of the human relationships, the human drama that he has admittedly perhaps caused himself. Maybe you look at that as a cynical view on human nature. Perhaps it's optimistic, or perhaps it's a mixture of the two, or perhaps it's more nuanced than that. I think the point is that this film Eight and a Half, at least for me anyway, has opened up so much opportunity and reevaluation. And as I said, I don't necessarily directly identify myself in my own life with, say, the characters that I see in Eight and a Half, but it does form the basis for maybe seeing how maybe connections are made or failed, or maybe looking back on how memories might be the substance of things that might help us in a present time, or perhaps that's just itself its own fantasy. And in those contexts and others, I think I can find some root in terms of a direct personal identification, which then makes this film Eight and a Half, and my own personal engagement with Eight and a Half, really quite an ever ongoing journey. And that ongoing journey, it seems, will be taking another step in the context of this new Criterion 4K release. So I'm looking forward to this immensely. And it says it's a new 4K digital restoration. So I don't know what the new 4K digital restoration has in store for us, but I hope it's. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I've seen the Criterion release many, many times. I've seen all the supplements on it many, many times, and I don't claim to know anything about the film. I'm not at all an expert. So this will hopefully give me the opportunity to watch it yet again. Maybe I can try to endeavor to make yet another step at trying to penetrate its mysteries, and I think I will be unsuccessful. But I'll at least give it my best shot. So, in any event, yeah, coming December 10th, 2024, the new 4K Blu-ray release of a film that already exists in the Criterion Collection physical media catalog, and that is the Fellini film Eight and a Half. Last but certainly not least, this is scheduled for release on December 17th, 2024, and it looks like it's scheduled for a Blu-ray release, purported to be based on 2K digital restoration, for spine number 1244. And this is the work which is described as being from the year 1987, and the name of the filmmaker is Sammo Hung, and the name of the work is Eastern Condors. So Eastern Condors is coming to the Criterion Collection as well. This is really exciting. I'm very happy for this. I know that it has been released elsewhere, and it is it's a really great film. I don't have it on in my collection at the moment. I did have it many years ago. I think it was on a VHS tape. And so it was. I have so many fond memories of watching this, and also too with my father. My mother and father saw it, but my father in particular really loved this film. So it was. Sometimes I'd watch it with my father, and he so into it just in terms of the action. He loved this type of genre, this genre being this was sort of patterned after war films in the hands of Sammo Hung and sort of Hong Kong cinema. So, but this was really, uh, uh, this was, yeah, my father loved this film. And so I have very fond memories of watching this with my father as well. But it'll be great to have this film in the context of the Criterion Collection again. Maybe, I don't know, it might not interest all. Maybe you already have a really reliable release of this already in your collection, in which case maybe the Criterion Collection release is something that you might not need. But for someone like myself who really enjoys this film but not at the moment doesn't have it, it'll be great to not only get this through Criterion but also to watch it again. This is, yeah, I remember, yeah, this was, I had so many great memories of watching this. Really, really great. I mean, it's incredibly compelling, and I mean, the story beats are are the story beats are they're they're filled with a lot. So this is I'm very excited for this, and it looks like, I think among other things, there is what's purported to be a new audio commentary featuring Tony Raines. So that'll be great to have that. I'm an admirer of the. I very much admire the work of Tony Raines, who's one of the important voices of cinema, and one of the areas of expertise is East Asian cinema and Hong Kong cinema. So it'll be great to hear his take on this. I haven't heard this commentary track as well, so I'm looking forward to this immensely. So Eastern Condors, again, Criterion, I don't think is it's not the it's not the first place one considers or one goes to when one considers Hong Kong film releases. I mean, there are other labels out there that perhaps do it better, and do it with more maybe customer satisfaction, and do it with more with more titles. So maybe this is not necessarily Criterion's. Uh, I mean, there are other labels that I think do it in a way that have more titles, and perhaps do it in a way that has more. At the end of the day, maybe more appeal in terms of the Hong Kong cinema releases. But I do like it when Criterion does this with some key works and some key filmmakers and some key figures from Hong Kong cinema. And Sammo Hung is unquestionably in that. And so we have Eastern Condors. It would be great to see more of these works, like other labels do. More works released by Criterion, but in the meantime, we have films like Eastern Condors to satiate our appetites in terms of this. So. At least for Criterion Collection releases, context go anyway. So this is very exciting indeed. So again, scheduled for release December 17th, 2024. And this is for spine number 1244, the Sammo Hung film, which is Eastern Condors. So I think that's it as far as the Criterion releases go, at least what the website tells me here. So again, if you're more curious about what the Criterion Collection plan releases are, as well as other titles, don't take my word for it. Go to the Criterion Collection website directly for more information. I mean, it's presented there in a way much better than I could ever hope to try to present it to you today. I'm just sharing my thoughts and comments here initially, and those might be similar or different from yours. So please, of course, feel free to let me know how you feel about these releases in the comment section below this YouTube video. But if I were to take a step back and sort of provide my concluding thoughts, it's nice to see. Again, it's 4 titles, so December tends to be a fairly light month in terms of quantity. I mean, we've seen this in past years. November tends to be the big month in terms of the big announcements and the number of titles, and then December tends to be the relatively speaking quiet month. But I think we have seen how December can be quite a jam-packed month. It can be quite a stellar month indeed in past years, and I think this year is no exception to that. I think this is quite a great collection of releases. Really, really great. So going from Eastern Condors, another work, sort of Hong Kong from Sammo Hung, and then going to 8.5, which is I have a number of feelings about that film as well. And then going to its nail biter suspense film that is so poetic in almost a nihilistic sort of way. It's incredibly potent and powerful. No Country for Old Men, and then almost like the other side of the coin in that equation, in a manner of speaking. I mean, Paris, Texas. I think Paris, Texas, and No Country for Old Men would be great to make a great double feature. Maybe I should try that when the titles arrive in December. But in any event, my dear friends, we have some mixture of, we have for the most part, the 4K technology is still being applied, but Eastern Condors, the Sammo Hung film, seems to be a Blu-ray disc release only. I don't see any DVD release for any of the new releases, so No Country for Old Men or Eastern Condors. So that I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but I can perhaps make some guesses as to why that might be, maybe in terms of marketability or viability of the DVD format. I'm not sure. I can only make a guess as to that. But I'm always, at the end of the day, I'm always happy when I see a DVD option for any new releases, because I think the DVD format is still very, very important. So, but we shall see what the format. What the format what Criterion has in store for that and other formats when we get into other release announcements going forward. But I'm very happy with this. I'm very, very happy with this. I forgot to mention this too, but I also like cover art. I like to whenever Criterion re-releases a title. I think Paris, Texas cover art seems to be the same as before, which is fine. But 8.5. That already exists in the Criterion collection, but it seems like we're getting new cover art or slightly different cover art for the 4K re-release. So I like it when Criterion gives us at least something different. Maybe it's the cover art only. I'm going to use only in air quotes, but still cover art is an incredibly important component of physical media releases. But my point is that if Criterion can give us something different, something new, to compel us, those who already have the titles, to want to get the film release, consider getting the film again. But I think maybe for 8.5 and Paris, Texas, which are the two titles that are of the December releases, ones that are already currently existing in the collection, we can say that we are getting what I understand are new restorations of the titles. So that is, I think, a strong enough appeal point to be at least very, very curious as to what those are. So for those who already have the films, that might be something to keep in mind. So maybe you might want to get those immediately, or you might want to wait and see how what some of the other reviews are in terms of the restorations and the like. But my point is that it's always nice to see Criterion try to give us something a little bit different in terms of their new releases. So whether that be in the form of a new restoration, as we have it apparently for the case of these two releases, or maybe new cover art as well as the case of 8.5, or maybe in the future we might have maybe different supplements coming along our way. I'm not sure if we're getting any new supplements. It looks like we're not, but we can of course check that when we explore the titles further in December. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. But in any event, I will be getting these titles when they do arrive, because I'm looking forward to them immensely. But yeah, that's December 2024. So my dear friends, again, let me close up by saying, how do you feel? Are you excited? Are you it's not so exciting, or maybe somewhere in between? Whatever you feel, my friends, however you feel, anything and everything is okay, as long as, right, if that's how you feel, that's the most important thing. So please, if you're so inclined, if it's okay with you, please let me know what you feel about this. I'd always love to hear what it is you have to say. So, and thank you for putting up with listening to what it is I have to say. And I always tend to be just speaking all the time. So I'm so sorry for the sort of disorganized way I tend to comment on these things. But I'm just doing my very best here. Hopefully that's enough. But in any event, thank you so much. I'm gonna get out of here right now, but I will hopefully see you again very, very soon. So please feel free again to leave comments below. But in the meantime, my dear friends, please continue to watch a lot of great movies. They can be Criterion, they can be other labels, they can be streaming, they can be on TV, they can be in the movie theater, whatever the case may be. Please continue to watch a lot of great movies, because, my dear friends, you deserve it. You really deserve it. So please, I hope that this video has found you well, and please, right, as I say, keep on watching a lot of great movies. So until the next video, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.